first it was a dream, till dream became a scene. And then there were the holidays, and the bills went paid. And then there was the cast. I knew they wouldn't last. Trying not to take from me what they wanted to be. Nothing but a pain in the ass. Why am I here? Hey, what am I doing here? You know I've got to find a way to walk away and stay the hell out of here. Why am I here? And then there was my school. I was sent to learn the golden rule. I never learned a thing about how to figure it out, or even what it's all about. Ooh, and then there was my dog. Oh, he always watches Mark.
Hey, welcome to the video.
You're gonna love this video.
Yeah, we're not like pros or anything, but it's fun to do, and maybe it'll help you out someday.
We know how to get radical too.
We know how to get on our butts like you're gonna be.
Gotta get ready.
When you're looking for a board, you want to make sure you like the shape. And I got it because it's twin tip. The nose and tail are identical.
It goes up the same on both ends. So it's real, I mean, it's flexible. You can go either way, either direction.
So that you can ride either direction.
I got this board because it's small. Last year I had a longer board, and I decided I like this one better because it's shorter.
And also the height. I usually choose boards that are about up to my chin because they're small enough to do spin tricks, but they're long enough to be stable when you land.
Checked out the flex. It's pretty flexible, which is good, I think. It's lightweight.
Like for me, I don't weigh very much, so I look for a board with a soft flex. So you know, you want to bend it, see how the nose flex, how the tail flexes. But usually, if you buy a board that's about your height for you, then it'll probably flex for you.
And I got the longer board just because I like to get fast. You know, it's not as maneuverable on jumps and stuff, but it's a lot faster, and that's how you get through. It's a real good board through powder.
It's kind of fat. It's got a nice spoon-shaped nose for powder. It pulls the powder away really good.
It's real stable. It's got a lot of surface area. So I think that's a pretty good board.
It's also low profile. It doesn't have a large nose, a large swivel on the nose, so that it has less swing weight. When you do tricks, you don't want your board to swing, and you want it to keep going. You want to be able to stop it and be able to, so you can spin easier.
It's got a wood core. The inside's a wood core, so it's a lot lighter than most boards, and it's got good flexibility in your landings.
I've got a centered stance here.
Plus, it's a lid tap.
They've all got an ankle leash in case the board just takes off, and it's wrapped around your leg, and so it won't, fly into some passing skier or whatever. So you always want to make sure your board has a leash, just a good strong leash.
I'm gone. Yeah,
I think there's your basic freestyle binding like that.
Got the 2 straps.
I got a binding with, the backs are low.
You got the low back binding. Let your foot move around a little bit more freedom. And these straps are padded. They're more comfortable than a lot of straps I've seen this year.
And it works with a stiff boot, so I got a lot of ankle support with the boot.
When you look for bindings, you want to make sure you can move this high back and probably adjust it. Make sure that the straps look like you can adjust them to fit your feet.
Comfort.
Yeah, you want comfort. Comfort's a big key.
I was told that these bindings would be really good because it's a really fat binding and it's really flexible. Like, see how flexible that is? And it's really comfortable. It just lays across your ankle, and it just keeps your heel down. The most important thing is to keep your heel down to the board.
And most bindings work the same. They just work with a ratchet, most of the newer ones. You just put your board in. You want to get them as tight as you can, but you don't want to cut off the circulation. Most of them work with a ratchet. And these ones here lock down, that's why I like them.
Also, when you're looking for a board, you want to get bindings that you can turn and rotate.
Yeah.
If you look in here, see there's those little degree numbers.
Between 5 and 3 degrees.
Perfect, just about on 0. I think 15 each way, 15 degrees.
See right here, that's 0 degrees. I've got mine set on like 9 degrees. See that little arrow? So you want to look for a degree system so you can line up exactly what degree you want and you remember your degree. And I've got my back foot set at 0 degree and my front foot set at about 8 or so. That way, you know, I ride, you know, one direction mostly, so I have my front foot turned a little bit. And I put my back foot at 0.
These have a 4-hole pattern, which means there's 4 screws to go in, 4 nuts down there, set at the width you want. If you want it wider, you can get it altered that way.
This is called a goofy stance, where your right foot goes forward. And my back foot is perpendicular to the board, and then my right foot is angled forward a little bit. This foot's perpendicular, so if you do like a 180 in the air, or you turn around and go fakie, then you're facing downhill in your fakie stance.
When you're learning, some people think they're left foot forward, but they're actually right foot forward, and so they ride their board backwards. And with a twin tip board, they're identical, so it'll work either direction just as well. So when you're learning, you might, you know, want to ask for a twin tip board. Like if you're in the rental shop, ask for a twin tip board. That way, if they set your left foot forward but your right foot forward, and it's easier for you to ride backwards, then it'll work better because they're identical each direction.
Fakie's just when you go down backwards, like your irregular form.
When you get a board, change it, mess around with it, and figure out what you like best, and then go with that.
My boots, I have they got laces on both sides, so they're real flexible. They're flexible at the ankle, still have a lot of support.
I choose these because I like a kind of a low cut boot. Most boots are really high, and these are low cut, so you can bend your ankle. You have a lot of maneuverability, and I like kind of big clothes, so you can move all around.
It's also, they're nicer if they only have one lace up instead of double lacing.
Yeah.
Just a
See this thing, you just wrap it around
bladder
and
that
lace
doesn't have
up.
extra laces in it.
Yeah, you don't
is
have to
better.
lace up inside, just outside. It makes it faster and easier. And the clothes, you want really durable clothes, so when you wreck, you fall and you slide, they don't rip. And I like a long coat because you sit down a lot and you slide a lot, so it keeps your butt dry. And mittens are the best for snowboarding, I'd say, because they're the warmest.
By far.
You can't really move your fingers to buckle in your snowboard, but they're by far warmer. And you always need goggles, even on clear days, because it protects your eyes from the sun, and when you go fast, your eyes don't water. And wear a hat, just be warm, and then you'll have fun if you're warm.
Yeah, my clothes because they're warm, not because they look cool.
Yeah.
That's
My
the
clothes
key.
are function. It's function, not fashion.
We love the Volvo because of the rack, for one thing.
Easy.
Maximizes the inside.
A lot of space.
You haul so many people in the Volvo, and it's got a nice system.
18 people in there.
CDs play really
Really
nice.
nice. Mounds of people. There's
It's got character. Character is the main thing.
soul. That's the word. When you get to the lift, you just want to strap in the front, so you can get around. It's kind of hard to move around if both feet are in the bindings. And so you use this foot to push, kind of like a skateboard.
You basically just push through the line.
Make sure you have a leash.
Yeah, you have to have
Like that.
a leash in case if your board falls off. Then and it'll stay hooked to your foot. And most chairlifts you have to have a leash to get on. And you just kind of push and then, you know, stand on your board if you want, whatever. Sometimes it's easier to have your back foot in back of your board because it's more stable to stand on your heel edge. It just depends on the slope of the hill, or to have it in front of your board and on your toe edge.
Basically, all you got to do is grab onto the pole and hold on, and that's basically it. Hope you're not afraid of heights.
Grab onto the inside pole.
The inside pole and just sit out. Other than that, I just like to get up here and think about my run, think about where I'm going to go. Stay in the boundaries, you know, you don't want to go off because there's avalanches or other things, you know. If you stay on the trail, you'll be fine. Okay, basically what you want to do when you're going to get off the lift, you want to point your board forward, and most snowboards will have a pad right here, and you can get good traction on your boot. And just point your board forward and take your back foot and just stick it on the pad, and just ride it out. It's a lot easier than it looks. Just make sure your knees are bent. You just head down the transition. People get messed up when they're turned sideways, you know, they're coming in and they're sideways. But you just point your board forward and keep your weight distributed evenly, and you'll have no problems. Get off that lift, yeah, I know it's like, you could be It's always good at the top of the hill to just check things out before you go. You're always responsible for the people below you. So if you get out of control and hit them, then it's your fault. So just always, you know, have a good vision of what's going on below you.
Until someone walked in and said, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Ooh, why am I here? Hey, what am I doing here?
All right, after you've checked everything out and everything's clear below you, you're ready to go down the hill. And first of all, I'm going to explain the difference between a heel edge and a toe edge. That's the worst part. When you're facing the down part of the hill, when you stand up, you're automatically on your heel edge. Okay, that's this edge right here.
These are the edges of the board, and when you're doing toe turns, this is your toe side of the edge, and these are the heel edges back here when you do backwards turns.
And you always want to keep this edge up, because as soon as you drop it, you're going to fall down. So experiment a little bit, and kind of go down on your heel edge like that, keeping the front edge up. As soon as you drop it, you're going to fall forward.
Okay, what I do when I snowboard, I want to keep my legs. They do most of my work. My upper body does some of the work, but you want to keep your upper body quiet. And you want to kind of point, you want to take your back hand and kind of put it, you have to twist your upper body so you're following the fall line.
Good way to think of fall line is the line that a snowball would take if you rolled it down the hill. It's just the line of the gravitational pull that takes you down the hill.
And you want to put, like if I'm going this direction, I want to move my back hand and kind of turn it this way so my shoulders are going in the direction I want to go.
You just pivot the bottom part of your body. Try to keep your shoulders facing downhill. Do a pivot motion with your hips and with your knees to adjust to the surface.
And you kind of take your hand and point it in the direction you want to go when you're learning. That's what I did, and it twists my upper body around. Okay, notice his upper body, it's twisted downhill. That keeps your body position in the direction you want to go, and it keeps your weight centered over your board, and your shoulders kind of direct you in the direction you want to go. And what you want to do is kind of bend your legs, especially your back leg. Your back leg wants to be bent in a little bit. As you can kind of see, their back legs kind of bend in towards their front leg. See how he's bending his knees, he's getting a good edge on that and just letting the board carve and ride. He's just riding his edge.
What I want to try to do is try to keep my upper body all the way down to my hips nice and rigid, and then keep all the flexibility down here in my knees and in my hips to adjust to the different slopes of the ski slope.
And that way when you're bent, see I'm on my hillside edge right now, you turn and you can get down into your, so you can get an edge.
When you go into your turns, your back foot's going to do a lot of the work.
I think right when you're first learning, I remember the first time I went up this, you kind of stabilize your front foot and then you let your back foot like kind of slide side to side. Yeah. It helps your turning ability a lot better instead of trying to really like dig your edges into the snow. And then once you get better, once you've gotten a lot of practice, you can start to like use your edges a lot more.
You put some more weight on your front foot so it's more stable, and then you use your back foot to kind of swivel the tail around to make a turn. And if you just stand on your edge, your board will turn. Boards are designed to turn when you compress the weight on your edge.
And a good way to do it is just kind of like a heel, like that, and then toe here when you're learning. And so by going heel up like this, it angles the board up and angles the downhill edge away. And so that'll prevent you from dropping the edge and falling on your face. And so the same thing when you go into your toe turn, you just go toe, and that turns you to the right if you're left foot forward.
And so if you just kind of get your board on edge and let it ride until you've finished your turn, then you want to come up and unweight your board a little bit, and so you can slide it around, and you just want to switch. You just let your board run flat just for a split second, and then you get on your other edge. You don't want to let your board run flat because it'll start going. It's not like skis, you can't let them run flat. It'll start going, all of a sudden it'll catch an edge and it hurts real bad. See, she's riding her heel side edge, finishes the turn, unweights, lets the board run flat, and then goes to her toe side. She's going heel side, lets the board run flat, goes to her toe side. You just let your board run flat just for a split second so you can switch to the other edge.
It's important to stand your edges because sometimes when you're beginning, you'll start to relax and you think you're getting good and you start riding in the middle of your board. That's when you see a lot of people catch their edge and they'll slam their head or something. So you gotta ride on your edge. You know, it's a real important part.
Notice how they ride down the fall line and he swivels the back of his tail around to initiate the turn. And his upper body, his shoulders are facing downhill, and you basically follow the fall line, and you put weight on your front foot and use your back foot to swivel the back of the board. So you notice he's on his heel side edge. He's on his heel side. Now he unweights the board, goes to his toe side. He's on heel side edge to toe side edge. You always want to be on either your heel side or your toe side. You can't just let your board run flat or else it'll catch an edge. In his body position, his shoulders are pointing in the direction that he wants to go.
sure that I've been loving you, although you might not want me back. But a man's gotta do what he's got to do, never damned if I turn back. I'm going. I'm going. Yeah, going. Gone. Yeah. Na 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 na. Yeah.
On my board, you want to focus in on that? Last week I tore the edge out all the way down to here. And they like put screws and bolts through it, and they put in this rib and erase, this plexi stuff.
What I usually do is I try and find a hit that looks good, because a lot of jumps are hard, they throw you weird in the air. And I usually try and go to a jump that I can go up the jump on my toe side edge, because it's more stable. You can lean over your board, and you just want to kind of, you kind of crouch down and pump up the transition, and then you're airborne. And once you're in the air, you want to stay kind of centered over your board. And I don't know, if you feel good, then try and do a grab, a trick, something. Try and hold it if you can, and then release. And you want to be stable in the air, and you want to look where you're landing. You want to look at the spot you're going to land on. You want to look ahead and try and find a smooth transition to land
that's
on.
probably a real important part. Always look ahead. Make sure you know where you're gonna land. You know, be aware of what's below you. Common courtesy comes in there too.
Yeah, you gotta watch, you know, in case no one's under the jump, stuff like that. But watch where you're gonna land, and that'll get you focused on where you're gonna land. Concentrate on landing flat and straight. Just try and make your board land flat and go straight. And then go to either a hillside turn or a hillside turn, whichever is easier, whichever comes natural. And if it's a transition, you wanna land with the transition, angulate your board so you land with the transition, bend your knees, absorb the impact, and just ride out. Hopefully.
Yeah, bend your knees.
Yeah, if everything goes
Make
right.
sure you bend your knees when you land. 'Cause if you land straight legged, you're gonna do some damage most likely. Bending your knees is.
And just start out. Yeah, just start out on smaller jumps. Like today, it's super icy. It's really scary because when you land, it hurts, and it's hard to get a good edge on the ice. But so if you're gonna try doing big jumps, maybe wait for a day that's pretty soft, and you have more control. So when you land and you wreck, it doesn't hurt as bad. And just start out with smaller jumps and work your way up to bigger ones, basically.
Well, hey, thanks for coming out with us today. Just remember your first time, you're going to be frustrated. And just remember you got to relax and you get through the first day and it just gets better. And I guarantee you'll learn to love it. We'll see you on the mountain.